Now, before we start the new CD and vinyl review column, if you could possibly do me a small favour and just click on the like below, and if you be so kind, the subscribe button. If you click on it twice, you'll get a notification telling you exactly the moment I publish a new video, and you can be right in there like a shot. So click on the other buttons below, please, and it'll tell YouTube that that I exist and that you support me. Thank you very much. And we're back with a new column devoted to vinyl and CD reviews. Mostly vinyl in this particular episode, but there's a couple of very nice CDs indeed. On to the show. Now, forgive me for reading this first one because, hey, I'm a journalist, and as you know, journalists can't read very well. So I'm going to try this one off the sleeve itself. The two gentlemen concerned are Mats Erlandsson, that's the easy one, and the one that's sent to try me is, and I apologise to the gentleman concerned, is YAIR GLOTMAN. I hope it's YAIR GLOTMAN. It is on the 130701, that's snappily monikered record label. This one is modern experimental, analogue and electronic music that ranges from Stockholm to Berlin, the home cities of both artists. This is a drone-based soundscape series of music that is determined to take its time. And don't you dare rush it, or there'll be words. In fact, the guys themselves describe their own work as, and I quote, suffused with chromatic density and a tendency towards edgy darkness. And yeah, I'll run with that chromatic stuff. I can hear all of that. This is a 9-tracker, but it was created as a single solid piece of neoclassical composition. Pressed on black vinyl, the mastering offers a touch of compression, but nothing too aggressive or intrusive. Don't listen to this when you're in a rush or when you're thinking of something else. You'll need to release yourself to this music and let it lead you to dimensions anew. There's a meditative quality about the music that's almost tidal, with musical tones sinking into one another, forming new tones to push and morph into still new areas of exploration. And look, between you and me, if you fancy throwing in the occasional now and again, then go as the mood might take you. I'm sure the chaps wouldn't object too much. From the band Proud Mary, this album appears to be from their own label. It's called Songs from Catalina. Formed in 1999 with the sort of Oasis Stone Roses attitude and chord progression that you'll find familiar, the group were and are populated by Greg Griffin on the vocals, with guitar via Paul Newsome and slide guitar player Adam Gray, plus Nev Cotty on bass. Now, I've offered 2 clues already, but on this release there's a distinct Americana blues element to the band, which provides a 70s glow to the songs on this album. Apart from the Creedence Clearwater Revival-esque band name, there's that slide guitar, of course, prodding the slight swampy atmosphere to the presentation. The structure of the songs are also infused with atmosphere that reminds me a touch of The Band, a sort of stripped countrified, folkish tales of the backwater kinda impression. And thus the band's Manchester vibe falls by the wayside, as the album, created in Santa Catalina, does the very same. Why? Because I get the feeling that the band have no identity and no direction, and they're hooking their style, their songwriting, and even their name to someone else's wagon. They're very good at what they do, sure, but so are the bootleg Beatles. Proud Mary? It's not their truth, it's their hobby, and it shows. Pressed on tangerine coloured vinyl, the mastering offers some compression, which ups the gain by raising the noise floor. Mids are honed, but slightly edgy, while the bass is punchy. From Warner Music, Working Man's Dead, from the Grateful Dead, and it's a picture disc, and there we are. The band were in a bit of bother when this LP was released. Their previous LP, Oxamoxua, wasn't a great success. Then there were drug bust issues, Vietnam had turned toxic, and the band owed their record label a ton of cash. This 1970 studio release was unusually structured and formed into country and folk arrangements, stripped back, direct and simplified. There was even hillbilly and jug band flavours in there. This was also the time that they took the advice from their contemporaries and introduced complex Crosby, Stills and Nash-like harmony structures, which added depth and richness to their vocal delivery. You could say that this LP triggered, or at least reflected, a sense of creative maturity. This edition is presented as a limited edition picture disc, yet whenever a record is limited to 10,000 copies, I do scratch my head a bit and wonder. Limited relative to what, I think? The population of China? Nevertheless, picture discs do look attractive in a retro way, and pigmentation technology has improved a lot. Coloured vinyl can now sound indistinguishable from black vinyl. That said, picture discs still have a way to go, if this example is anything to go by, as it sounds noisy with occasional distortion thrown in for good measure. Is it playable? Just. Would you rather play an audiophile version? Absolutely. And now we've got a bunch of 10-inch albums from the German audiophile label Bear Family. The Sound of Fury from Billy Fury, Gene Vincent and Sounds Like, Dark Lonely Streets from Eddie Cochrane, and The Mystery of Dennis Herrold. A quartet of limited edition coloured vinyl 10-inch LPs for you, featuring classic artists and classic music, beautifully presented and nicely mastered. Billy Fury's reissue is based on the UK sleeve and features 2 bonus tracks, Wondrous Place and Gonna Type a Letter. Issued in 1960 and one of the most important rock and roll records to emerge from Britain, it features the then unusual list of self-penned songs, a feat that would be a much commented feature on the later Beatles work, but Fury got there first. The Mystery of Dennis Herrold features the rockabilly artist whose appearance on the scene was relatively brief. This new reissue contains the 5 tracks Dennis Herrold recorded for Imperial, including an alternative version of Hip Hip Baby and the previously unreleased Don't Push Away, as well as Make With The Lovin'. The released single was faded out, but here it's in its full length. For the first time on vinyl, there is the unreleased track Boppin' in the Dark, and all tracks of the LP plus bonus material are also available in an enclosed CD. A bonus CD is also to be found within the Eddie Cochrane release, described as a commemorative album of popular hit tracks and rarities, covering 12 tracks on the vinyl, plus a whopping 28 tracks on the CD, including some of Cochrane's work as a session musician for other artists. Inside, you'll find a 12-page folder of rare photographs and liner notes by Bill Dahl. For the Gene Vincent reissue, Bear Family has chosen a rare Japanese Capitol 10-inch from 1959. The Sounds Like Gene Vincent LP was never released in the USA as a 10-inch LP, but only as a regular LP with more tracks. As bonus tracks for this release, look out for Bebop Boogie Boy, The Night Is So Lonely, and Gene Vincent's version of Over the Rainbow. This is a great quartet of vinyl reissues. Now on Third Man we have 2 LPs from the band Red Cross. With Jeff and Stephen McDonald at their heart, Los Angeles' own alternative rockers hit the heights in the early 80s with a mixture of punk and bubblegum pop, but who stayed firm members of the loud and proud school of rock music. PHASESHIFTER appeared in 1993, largely removing the pop influence and morphing into punk with metallic bits, power pop and garage that took notes from Black Flag. So you get lots of crashing noise, thrashing guitars and big power chords on one hand, and then you'll find yourself stumbling into more calming inserts full of twangy guitar grammar, but the whole thing will be sweetened by accessible harmonic vocals and melodic hooks. There's a strange mix of tones and approach to their music. Sometimes you see them as a hardcore rock outfit, the next you see them as stars on a particular edgy Disney TV series full of monkey-esque witty dialogue and characterizations which forces the band down an uncomfortable creative path. Show World offers more of the same, kinda, although there's a slightly more focused rock output. Actually, in some ways, Red Cross's style reminds me of the UK's Blue Tones. Worthy, full of effort, a few notable hooks to hum to yourself in the bus queue, but a band that seemed permanently stuck in second gear. From Maverick, this is the 25th anniversary of Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill. Makes you feel old. So yes, 25 years already, hey? This anniversary issue has been cut from the analog master, but I'm not impressed with the pressing itself, which, at least on my sample, was warped. Not badly enough to prevent play or overly affect the sonics, but it was disappointing to see. Alanis reminds me, especially on this LP, as a willful, rather petulant teenage daughter entering puberty and testing her boundaries. Someone whose moods and hormones you really don't have time for just now, and you just want to send her to her room with no phone and the plug removed from her hi-fi. And then you shout upstairs to tell her to turn down the volume on that TV, and then you mumble "bloody kids" to yourself as you put on the kettle for a cuppa and you try to calm down. Saying that, Morissette does bring a big bucket of delicious anger to this LP, and it works very well, especially on a track like You Ought to Know. She almost spits the lyrics out, and you really wonder if the microphone had to be sponged down after this particular song. And then she can get all melancholy on tracks like Perfect. But you know, really, it's all about the hormones again. And yes, she's about to burst into tears and eat a tub of ice cream in front of a rom-com. But tomorrow she'll be saying she hates you again as she stomps up the stairs in her big heels. CD now, and DOMINIC INGHAM and Role Models, which appears to be on his own label. Having worked with his brother Rory within the fusion jazz combo Bonsai, Ingham welcomes the Bonsai's drummer Johnny Mansfield onto his new album, but this time on vibes, with Boz Martin Jones on drums and Will Sachs on bass. It's a busy piece, this one, an amalgam, a cut up and stuck together experience. Imagine being in a room of people and having conversations with all of them, turning your head left and right, throwing in a word here, a sentence there, just to keep the conversation going. That's the title track. The track Fall throttles back to a stroll, it muses and considers, it furrows its brow now and again, a track deep in thought. The track PJs begins with a lively and complex percussive pattern that's positively funky, while Ingham's own violin waltzes around it, accompanied by scampering puppy bass. Do you see? This is one activity centre jazz album. Lots of ideas, lots going on, energy, enthusiasm, life. A scrapbook of ideas stuck together with flour paste. This is an album that you could easily live with for a long time and still find new creases and folds to investigate. Mastering is good, not exactly expansive or spacious, and slightly compressed, but still good indeed. Now, as sometimes happens in this listening room, I review a CD, I put it down, it disappears. In this case, this one is from Gong. You could say Gong is gone, and that would make quite a good LP actually. Gong is gone, especially as poor old David Allen is no longer with us. Anyway, over to the review. The album itself, if I had it to show you, is called The 25th Birthday Party London, The Forum, and the label is Floating World. This is a 2 CD set featuring members of ye olde band that hadn't performed together since 1977. They included David Allen, Tim Blake, Mike Howlett, Didier Malherbe, Pip Pyle, Steffi Sharpstrings, great name that, Julie Smith and Shamail Matra. No Steve Hillage and Pierre Morlaine, but hey, you can't have everything. Actually, this band performance was only one part of a larger celebration at the time. That included Kevin Ayers, Tim Blake, Shapeshifter Gong, Here and Now, Fluvius, Shortwave, Planet Gong, Kangaroo Moon, and the Invisible Opera Company of Tibet. Quite a time, it has to be said, was had by all. The compilation focuses heavily on the Radio Gnome Invisible trilogy, but other ditties are included too, and a great job the band does as well. This is a performance that's full of enthusiasm, spirit, and sheer joy. They sound happy to be there, and if you grab this one, so will you. And that's me sorted for this particular episode. Thank you very much for staying to the end. Thank you too for all your support. It's very much appreciated. And I hope to see you in the next video. So, looking forward to your company then. That will be Friday. And there may be headphones involved somewhere along the line. Until that time, bye bye for now.